Hi, I'm Portia Wood, attorney at Wood Legal Group LLP. Today we're going to be talking about the 3 documents that everyone over the age of 18 must have inside their estates to protect themselves. One is going to be your property power of attorney. This is an incredibly important document because what it does is allows you to nominate and pick someone to be legally authorized to access your bank accounts, to handle your affairs if for some reason you are unable to. Number 2 is going to be your healthcare directive, authorizing someone to make medical decisions on your behalf, also laying out your medical wishes. Do you want to be on a ventilator? Would you want to receive artificial food? Do you want to get palliative care? All of these things you should designate. And the third one is going to be some form of a distribution document. And that distribution document could be a will, depending on your jurisdiction, depending on your asset levels, but more likely than not is going to be a trust to avoid court interference, to be able to pass the assets with some semblance of control. But it really is individual, but there's a variety, right? It depends. There are options as it relates to the distribution documents you might be able to use, but everyone over the age of 18 needs to have these 3 documents: a property power of attorney, healthcare powers of attorney and documents, and some form of a distribution document that is appropriate for your asset level, for your goals, for your jurisdiction, right? So that might be a will, but more likely than not, it's probably going to be a trust to avoid court interference on your estate. That's our things you didn't know with attorney Portia Wood. Join us again, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into what each one of those documents are, as well as some additional estate planning tips. So follow and see you soon. Welcome to Wood Legal Group. In this video, we're going to be talking about property powers of attorney. Now, property powers of attorney are documents that allow you to legally authorize someone to make decisions on your behalf if you are unable to do so for yourself. What does that mean, right? Because what does that mean? What it means is if you are incapacitated or you are sick, if you are in the hospital, we are currently in COVID. So if you were to get severe disease with COVID, who is legally authorized to access your bank accounts, to make sure your mortgage is paid, to make sure that someone is authorized to negotiate on your behalf, to finalize contracts if you're in the middle of a contract deal? Who do you want to handle your affairs? Now, you can either write it down and put it in a property power of attorney to authorize someone while you are alive and capable, or your family or friends would have to go to the courts to ask for permission. Fun fact, right? Fun fact. Your spouse is not necessarily your first fiduciary, meaning that if you have separate accounts and things that are not jointly owned, if you haven't given them permission during life and while you had capacity, they do not automatically get access to those accounts once you are incapacitated. So we really do have to make a plan for who gets to handle our stuff if something happens to us. Also important to remember, powers of attorney terminate on death. So when you die, that power of attorney is no longer effective. So it is not estate planning in its entirety. It is incapacity planning. Some people also use power of attorneys to help them do real estate deals and X, Y, and Z, but for the purposes of estate planning, your power of attorney is in the event of incapacity so that somebody can help take care of your affairs without having to go to the courts. Check out our other videos on healthcare powers of attorney, advanced healthcare directives, also known as living wills, depending on which jurisdiction you're in, as well as trusts and wills themselves for distribution documents. Also, be sure to check out the resources library that we have down below that allows you to download different documents to learn a little bit more. Hi guys, I am Portia Wood with Wood Legal Group, and today we're going to be talking about healthcare powers of attorney. If you've been following along with this series, we talked about property powers of attorney, and as you can sort of imagine from the name, right, a healthcare power of attorney is a power of attorney for healthcare. This is a document that allows you to pick the people you want to be your voice in the event you are unable to do so. Again, we are in a global health pandemic, world health pandemic, which means that while COVID might have light effects for some people who get infected, one study I read recently said that 1 in 800 African Americans have died from COVID-19 since the start of the pandemic. So it seems that my community is being more adversely affected by this virus, getting severe disease and also passing away. And what we have been seeing in our practice is that most people don't have a healthcare directive that says who gets to make their medical decisions in the event they are unable to make them themselves, like they're intubated or they are in a coma. This is really relating to illnesses, but also car accidents. There are a lot of instances in which something can happen in a split instant, and if you don't have someone legally authorized to step up and make medical decisions on your behalf, your family may have to go to court to ask for a guardianship or conservatorship proceeding, or guardianship or conservatorship over you, so that they can be legally authorized to make your decisions for you. Y'all, these are expensive processes, and they are time consuming. They can also just be a struggle and a drain for the people who have to go through these processes just because we failed to put some things into place. And so, what is your healthcare directive? It is a medical directive that gives someone the authority to make medical decisions for you in the event you cannot make them for yourself. Fun fact, your spouse is not necessarily your first fiduciary. And so, in that instance, if you want your spouse to make your medical decisions, you should name them. Additionally, we say not just one person, but name at least 3 people in successive order, because you never know what's going to be happening in those people's lives at the time the documents need to be used. And so if your spouse is also sick with COVID, or if your spouse was also in the car with you, who would be the next person you would be comfortable with to make medical decisions? That's really the power of a healthcare power of attorney. Again, it is not a complete estate planning document. This is an incapacity planning document that becomes a part of your overall estate plan. Thank you so much for tuning in with us for this short little minute about estate planning documents, and please continue to check in on our videos as we break down more of the pieces that need to be inside of your estate plan. Again, this is everything that needs to be inside of your estate plan. If you are over the age of 18, it is the minimum, the floor of where we need to begin. Definitely not the ceiling. So we'll look forward to talking to you again. See you soon. Hi, I am Portia Wood. I am a generational wealth planning attorney here at Wood Legal Group LLP. Our mission is really to educate and activate African Americans, families, business owners to take agency over their legacies. Every day we get up and we work either in our 9-to-5 jobs, as our 1099s, in our own businesses, or as investors. And we spend time building up our assets to provide a quality life for ourselves and for our families. But we miss out on one crucial point, which is making sure that when the inevitable, something happens to us, we are protected to be able to get those things that we're working for to our family members in the next generation without court interference, without unnecessary fees, making sure that it gets to them in an appropriate structure so that it can continue to grow for them versus being redistributed through all of these other processes. So spend some time with us. This is our mission. This is what we love to do. Join us for a webinar. Access the free resource library on our website. Grab our new ebook. Get as much information as you can about this process. What we know is that a lack of information is what's causing this great divide. 70% of African Americans have zero estate planning at all. 60% of all Americans have zero estate planning. We are losing the majority of our earned wealth at the generation transfer every time somebody gets sick or passes away. Learn as much as you can. We are happy to answer your questions. We look forward to talking with you soon.